What color DM or player are you in D&D or Dagger Heart or any TTRPG? Because I found a video here that I think is going to answer that exact question. I've not watched it yet, but it does seem to be covering something that I have heard about before, and that is the idea that we all communicate slightly differently, and there's actually only 4 main ways, and each way is a color. I mean, let's let the video describe, shall we?
There are 4 types of communicators that every single person can be categorized into. There are the reds, who are driven by power and results.
Yeah, so this is exactly what I wanted it to be, honestly. And you can have a mix of these
greens,
colors,
who are driven by peace and stability.
I mean, everyone probably is a mix of them all, but I'm interested to know what kind of player or GM you are, like what your color would be.
The blues, who are driven by logic and structure, and then the yellows, who are driven by fun and connection. Understanding these 4 colors and types of
Because look, I think this is perfect. I think there are certainly from the DM side, there's definitely people who like power and results. I don't necessarily mean in a bad way, like they're corrupted by power, that can happen. Well, they certainly like kind of being in charge and in control, not in a negative way, in a way that's like needed for this game to happen, so it suits them perfectly. You definitely have GMs driven by logic and structure, the blue kind. These are the kind of GMs who really adhere to the rules very strictly and have a very solid like foundation of how things can happen. And then yellow, driven by fun and connection. Obviously, we all know GMs and players like that. The reason why they're there, the reason they're doing everything is for their own fun and their players' fun, and to kind of like have some human connection. The only one I'm unsure about is the green, driven by peace and stability. I guess that's just people who like to keep the peace in their D&D games and make sure everything runs smoothly. I can definitely see, different like GMs falling into different ones of these.
people has allowed me to form a strong connection with 95% of the people that I've met as an international keynote speaker and communication coach, even if we have nothing in common. In this video, what you're going to learn is, first of all, what color
I do wonder what color I'm going to be.
Are you? The second thing, the problem each color faces.
I think this is integral to when we're talking about it as far as TTRPGs go, because different types of DMs, like different ways that they communicate, will face different issues and have different strengths at the table.
And then the third thing is, well, how do you talk to each of the different...
This is huge, yeah. Knowing that your players all have different communication styles as well, and figuring out how to identify them and talk to them will be incredibly useful.
Colors. If you don't learn this, you'll keep wondering why talking to some people feels effortless, while talking to others feels impossible. But imagine being able to walk into any room and instantly get a read on someone.
I'm sure everyone's going to relate with the facts of oh, some people I get on with really well and others is a little bit more of a struggle, certainly at the start. One thing I don't like is, and unfortunately, I often find these kind of videos very useful when looking at D&D and TTRPGs, but a lot of this is self-help guru stuff, which I think often comes from a place of you're putting a band-aid on human interaction, you're figuring out ways around it when it's not necessarily the best way to handle this stuff. I think what it comes down to is I don't like, feeling manipulated or manipulating. And that's what he's getting at here when he's you can go into the room and you can talk to anyone. Here are the tricks for you to get around and have trick people into liking you almost, which, you can argue is not the case, but there's definitely corners of this kind of train of thought that will lead to that. But I think when it comes to a game where communication is key, it can be very useful to know some of this stuff.
To know what drives them, what they are afraid of, and how to speak their language.
I always say this a lot. Sometimes playing or GMing a TTRPG game like D&D is kind of like dating. And there are things you can put in place to make it easier if you are a very nervous dater or if you're bad at dating for whatever reason. But I wouldn't necessarily use a lot of these kind of advice for dating, because it is manipulative, but when you're at the table and you're trying to do so many other stuff, yeah.
So that you can connect with them. And it starts with, firstly, knowing what color you are. I learned how to do this with the color system created by Thomas Erickson, who wrote the book Surrounded by Idiots. Now, this is an amazing book. If you get the time, definitely give it a read. It's awesome. Now, the book suggests that you fall into one of these four.
All right, so straight off, I think I'm probably yellow. I think I'm driven by fun and connection. The power and results, like, I mean, sure, who doesn't like a little bit of power? Oh God, maybe I'm that. I hope I'm not. That's like the Slytherin of this situation, right? I, of course, like a little bit of peace and stability. Logic and structure, I'm the least, I would say. Even though blue's my favorite color, I'm the furthest away from a blue because I will blow like structure and logic out the window for fun and cool moments, Like I'm definitely, I would say I'm yellow, maybe a little bit of red in there as well. Because I like results as far as like we're telling a good story. Like I feel really good if I get to an end of session, like we did a really cool thing there. We told a really cool story. That got results. So yeah, yellow and red. I just don't like the idea that I'm driven by power,
Colors. And of course, we are all a mix of all of the colors, but we all have a default color we tend to speak. As I talk through these colors, I want you to think of the one that you are, and then I want you to think of which friend comes to mind for the other colors. This makes remembering all the colors really easy and sticky. First, we have...
Yeah, what color do you guys think you are? Also, guys, let me just jump in here real quick. I know this kind of content is not what I would normally do, and it's not necessarily specifically Daggerheart content, which I do on this channel, but reaction content like this is genuinely fun for me. But please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm also live right now over on Twitch. Go check it out. I'm live as this video is published. You can let me know if you don't like it in person. I'm also going to be chatting more about the projector scam that is hitting the D&D community. After I ate some food, my stomach was just grumbling. But yeah, I will see you over there. And I wonder if you're playing, say, D&D, if having all the same colors at the table is really good, or if it's better to have a very diverse kind of color wheel.
Red. Now, reds are bold, decisive, competitive, results-driven, and they're a little bit impatient. Then next...
Maybe I am a little bit of...
We have the yellows. They are social, enthusiastic, talkative, creative, optimistic. Then next...
I want to be yellow.
We have the greens. They are...
Like if the sorting hat was like, where do you want to be? I'd be like, yellow, please.
Calm, supportive, reliable. They don't like sudden changes and they're extremely patient. Then finally, we've got the blues. The blues are precise, detail-oriented. They're cautious, they're critical thinkers, and they're perfectionists. Now,
yeah, I don't think I'm green or blue. So.
If you're still unsure at this point which color you are, then I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions to better help you identify which color you are. Question number 1. Are you more introverted or extroverted?
That's interesting. That is interesting. Would you guys say that people who play, say, D&D are like generally more introverted or extroverted? It's such a weird game and hobby where you kind of are often both. Like it pulls in a lot of introverts because it's a fantasy game that you play indoors with your friends. But then it's a very social game. It's incredibly like, I don't want to say that like you're performing a lot, but you're certainly, there's different ways to play, of course, but a lot of tables that I see, there are a lot of players out there who are definitely extroverted. I personally would normally refer to myself as an introvert. Like I have been very introverted for most of my life, I think. But I think as I'm getting older, I'm actually switching. And certainly as far as like putting myself out there on the internet now, I feel like I'm moving more extroverted in some scenarios. I think if you put me in a, say, social situation where I didn't know anyone at all, I would revert back to being an introvert. I'd be very, very quiet. But overall, in general, I think I've been moving along that spectrum somewhat.
If you're introverted, that means you're either a blue or a green. And if you're extroverted, that means you're either a red.
Oh, so I was saying I feel like I'm a red or a yellow.
Red or a yellow. Next question. Am I more logical or emotional? If you're more logical, then that means you're either a green or a red. And if
this is actually really good. Okay, I think I'm more logical than emotional. So I'm going towards red.
If you're more emotional, that means you're either a blue or a yellow. With these 2 questions already, you should be able to know which color you are. But you can ask a third question just in case. And the third question is, do I speak more deliberately or quickly? Now, if you're more deliberate, that means you're either a green or a blue. And if you speak more quickly, then that
I don't actually know the answer to this. I feel like since I moved to a different country, I've actually started to speak more deliberately on purpose because people understand me better. But I definitely get excited and speak quickly. So I think, God damn it.
Means
red.
you're a red or a yellow. And through the process of elimination, these questions are going to better help you work out which color you are. Now, use me as an example as you take these questions for a test run. Do I seem more introverted or extroverted? I'm extroverted. If you guessed that, you got it right. Which means I'm either a yellow or a red. Okay, so now we go to the next question. Now, do you think I'm a logical or am I an emotional person? If you guessed emotional, you're correct. Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, okay.
Now, if I'm emotional, that means I'm either a blue or a yellow. So which color am I? I'm a yellow. And no, that's not because I'm Asian. I'm yellow because of this color profile. Whoa. And after these two questions alone, you should know what color you are too. But if you're still stuck and you're a little bit unsure, you can do one final check with that third question.
Feels like a joke from 20 years ago.
So work out which one you are and then leave a comment below and tell me what your color is. Now, this is the core problem that we're addressing here. Most people communicate in their own color, assuming that everybody around them communicates the same way. When a red meets another red and they communicate with each other, they get along great. Whereas when a red's speaking to a green or a blue or a yellow.
Interesting. I don't know if I mean, obviously, he's read the book and he's done his own research here. I feel like there might be other colors that you're more compatible with. Like, for example, if I'm a red and I like power and results, I just feel like I'd get on well with like a yellow for some reason. I just want to be yellow so much. Let me be Gryffindor. I think it's more just that, you know, like I said earlier, you're a mix of these colors and I probably got, you know, a lot of yellow in me too as well. I just think if I met someone who was power and results orientated, like myself apparently, I wouldn't like them that much.
It feels frustrating. They clash, they disconnect, and then they don't respond the way they expect. Let's have a look at this situation here. You've got two reds about to connect. When you're a red, don't forget, it means you're direct, decisive, no fluff, or outcome. And when these two reds are about to connect, watch what happens.
So when are you handing in the project and what issues are you facing?
I'm going to hand it in today at 5 p.m. and I'm facing 3 specific problems. 1, Peter's getting stuck in the weeds with the details.
Classic frickin' Peter.
2, Craig's being
Craig is indecisive, I think he's going to say.
Decisive. And 3, I love these skits. They're fantastic for YouTube engagement because it's what makes the viewer like and subscribe.
I'm not going to piggyback off that and ask you guys like and subscribe to this video because that feels a bit cheap.
God, I love talking to you.
God, I love talking to you too. Do you see that? When you communicate in a direct and decisive way, Reds will love you because you're speaking.
I do like that communication, if I'm being honest. Is it going to show us how every color communicates?
Their language. But here's the trap. When you speak to other colors, the blues and the greens and the yellows,
I've definitely got some yellow in me because yellow is connection, right? And there's definitely times where, oftentimes, I'll be talking to someone and I'll be looking for that connection, that moment where we kind of click. And often when I don't find it with people, I keep trying to find it. And it's when I can't find that. If they're just not interested in like having fun and like connecting with me, I think they're not cool people. You know, I often meet people like this where I said they give off no new friends vibes. Like I'm there being like, we can be friends, and they're just like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just like, I don't get that at all. So even though description wise, I think I'm a red, feelings wise, I do think I'm yellow. Maybe I'm just more emotional than I think I am.
They won't connect with you as much. They might even think of you as someone who's cold, abrasive, and maybe even a little scary. Now, here's what happens when a red speaks to a yellow, a blue, and a green. Have a look at these situations. All right, listen, I don't have that much time. I need to know what is our current return on ad spend and what is our net profit after OPEX. I have to show you the ad before we get to any of that because the ad we filmed was hilarious. You're going to love it. You know what? I'm not just going to show you. Guys, come in. Let's all watch the ad.
Okay, I do feel like I'm a yellow now. Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Together. We're all going to watch the ad together. We'll laugh together. Then we'll learn together. Then we'll get to the data that you want. And that's the very important project.
Vin, shouldn't we get everyone else's opinion first?
No need. I already just...
I feel like this is now, it's kind of like horoscopes where you just see yourself in every single color.
decided we're doing it.
But what if people don't like it?
What if people don't like it? Then they'll get over it.
That doesn't sound very harmonious.
Are you serious? Harmony is great, but results are better. Morning, Pete.
Hey, Vin, I heard you went to the zoo on the weekend. Tell me everything.
Productive.
Oh, okay. Productive. How did the kids enjoy the zoo?
Like I said, mission accomplished, animals were seen, snacks were consumed, tantrums neutralized. It was an efficient operation.
Right. But did you enjoy it? Like, how did it feel?
It felt done, just like this conversation. Do you see the problem?
Okay, I don't know. I think reds and other colors can get on. Obviously, he's pushing it to the limit there.
We tend to default to our own communication style, and it works great, but only when you are speaking to people just like you. And everybody else, well, they just tune out, or worse, they jump.
I also just feel like we've all been on this earth for so long. I presume many, many, many years. And we're probably subconsciously, we just learn to talk to other colors, right? Like, it's not like you're completely incompatible. We kind of pick it up over time.
Judge you wrongfully. Let me share with you how the other colors view you. So here we have Andy. He's my head of marketing, and he's also a red. And filming this B-roll for him is excruciating.
Oh my God, look, it's kind of like D&D stats, right? Drive, decisiveness, patience, focus on results, and flexibility.
Because he just wants to get back to work and get shit done. So if you're like Andy and you are also a red, you tend to overwhelm others with your fast, direct, outcome-driven style. You know, the greens, they see you as someone who's being pretty pushy. And the yellows, they look at you as being someone who's too serious. And the blues, well, they think you are reckless with details. Now, next on screen, we have a yellow who is me. And this is also the person who came up with the idea for this B-roll. And I love this. Look how much fun I'm having. This is such a great idea, Vin. You're a genius. And if you're a yellow like me, you often lose credibility because of your high energy. Your idea-filled communication style often feels unfocused to reds, chaotic to greens, a little too superficial for the blues, who crave detail. Oh, and look.
I think I don't just want to be a yellow, but I think I might be a yellow.
On screen. Oh, that's our green. Oh, that's Dan. Dan's our head of ops. And you see, Dan, he didn't want to do this, but he's so non-confrontational and he just loves to keep the peace that he's doing it. That's why he looks so awkward. I mean, look at him. Let's zoom in a little. Look at him. Look how awkward he looks right now.
Well, no, I think I'm green. I don't know.
He does not want to be here.
I'm an awkward person.
My goodness. Let's zoom in a little further. See how awkward he is? He's so awkward. Now, if you're like Dan, you tend to avoid and resist conflict, which makes you seem indecisive to reds, boring to yellows, who want more excitement, and frustratingly non-committal to blues, who want specifics. Oh, and here we have our beloved Smurf. Yep, that's a blue. Look at him. He is so detailed. He scripted out this entire video, wanted to get everything optimal. But you know what, Pete? I'm going to wing this next part, mate. I'm going to bloody wing the script. I don't even know what I'm going to say right now. That's why I'm going to now just talk for no reason, huh? How do you like that, algorithm blue, Pete? How do you like that, Pete? What's
chaotic? This kind of does remind me. I mean, whenever people are putting people in boxes like this, there's always a ton of issues, and I don't believe they're ever like accurate. But it is a fun exercise, and I'm sure there's a little bit of truth there. But this kind of just even reminds me of like the whole alignment thing in D&D, where it's kind of like, are you neutral? Are you chaotic? Are you lawful? Are you good? Are you evil? That whole thing. Like putting people into boxes there to see how they act. So this is kind of just an interesting way of thinking if you're like have NPCs or if you're a player and you're creating a character. I think what color that character, the NPC is genuinely a cool descriptor when you just need to throw someone in a box real quick, like figure something out and figure out what they would do next and how they would handle situations.
What's the algorithm going to do now? Hey, let's zoom into Pete. Let's zoom into his nose. Closer. Look at his nose. Look at that little cute nose. Look at it. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's zoom out to something else. Let's zoom out to his hands. See, he doesn't even know where to put his hands. He doesn't know what he's going to do with his hands. What are you doing with your hands, Pete? All right, awkward now? You meticulously technical monster. If you're like Pete and you're a blue, sometimes you overcomplicate things in life, like a YouTube video, and you forget to have fun, right? You have such a deep need for precision and detail, which feels too slow for reds. It feels overly critical for yellows, and it feels really nitpicky to greens who just want peace. That's why mastering this isn't just about you knowing your color, it's about you learning to speak all of the colors.
Also, in a scenario where we're talking about this specifically through like a D&D or TTRPG lens, is that potentially the way you play the game, the way you communicate as, say, a GM, might be very different from the way you communicate in life. And I think there's probably a level of that as well. Like, you probably communicate differently professionally. And when you go to work and you're in meetings and stuff, you might switch gears, you might switch colors compared to when you're just like hanging out with family and friends. I think the same thing can happen when you're like running a D&D game. You might switch to a different color, which is interesting.
And this, what I just shared with you right now, this was a huge realization for me. I'm a yellow, so naturally I'm pretty expressive, loud, and passionate. Whereas my wife, on the other hand, she's a red. She's strong, decisive, and laser focused on the results. And she values clarity, efficiency, and moving things forward. Not me pitching 12 brilliant ideas to her before she's even finished her morning coffee. Yeah, I can be a little much. Now, here's where we used to clash a lot. I would communicate ideas fast, bouncing from idea to idea, expecting her to just get on board. But to her, it felt overwhelming, and she'd shut me down.
I think there's definitely aspects of this in, say, D&D games as well. I think if you look at like a lot of TTRPG horror stories on Reddit that have come out where people have like ruined friendships and games have fallen apart, a lot of the time it may just be this kind of communication issue and people not quite connecting the way that's needed for the game to be successful. But yeah, no, I do agree with that. Obviously, I think there is a level of switching how you communicate depending on who you're talking to at a D&D table. And I think that's something that like will happen naturally the more you play and the more different people you play with. I think it becomes an issue if you are like me, actually, and most of the time I'm playing with the same people. Most of the time I'm playing with the same friends. And you kind of get stuck in what works in that scenario. And then when you have to go and DM for new people, like an entirely like new table, it can be kind of jarring to realize that people are so different to your friends. And you kind of have to prepare yourself for that a little bit.
Now, I'm not telling you to change the essence of who you are. I'm telling you that if you want to be a more effective communicator, you need to learn how to adjust your delivery and speak in their communication style so that you can connect better with them.
Yeah. The problem with this is if they are also doing the same thing, say I'm red and I'm talking to a blue, and I switch how I communicate to blue, but they know I'm a red, so they've switched to communicate to red. We're still going to hit that impasse. You know?
Imagine for a second, walking into work tomorrow and talking to your boss, quickly being able to identify what color he or she is, then adjusting your communication style to connect with them better. What would that mean for you? Does it mean you have to do it with everyone? No, you just do this with the people you truly want to connect with. Let me quickly remind you, when you meet somebody for the first time and you want to identify what...
You know, I think the Dungeon Dudes did a video on this as well. Not the color thing, but they say like DM styles. I've done similar videos in the past as well. But we'll have to watch the Dungeon Dudes one because I think they do it by classes. So like you're a barbarian DM or you're a wizard DM, depending on like how you act and how you communicate and how you run your games, which... Look, this might be useful to certain people just to bring awareness to the fact that we all communicate differently or we all have different styles, and there you can like adjust what you're doing. But overall, I don't think all this stuff is going to be like game changing, and I don't even believe in it entirely. But it's just the thought process alone of thinking how you communicate and that other people respond differently to different communications is really important, not necessarily what exact color you are.
Color they are. You can ask yourself the same 3 questions I shared earlier. I'll pop them just over here for you too. It's such a cool, powerful little tool that I have on the corner of my computer screen. Any call I get onto, I immediately think of these 3 questions to myself, and I
hope this is true. I think he's just done this for the video. I do not think he has that post-it note there the whole time. I don't think he does. If you're a post-it note person, your table's full of post-it notes, or if you're not a post-it note person, you have none. I think the one single post-it note is unbelievable to me.
Able to slightly shift the way I communicate, and it helps me connect with people really fast. You know, I was asked this question at my recent workshop.
How do you not judge people?
I do. I'm human, okay? But I do it as little as I can.
That's another interesting whole topic of communication when it comes to TTRPGs and D&D, because there is a level of like, you have to lose judgment completely. But by judgment, I mean like being judgmental, because you want everyone to feel so comfortable at that table, for everyone to kind of let loose and just have fun, that when people make certain decisions or do certain voices, I mean, judge them if it's like an offensive voice, let them know. But overall, just like, you have to drop the ego, which arguably is impossible, but you've got to drop the ego as much as possible so that like everything can run smoothly and no one's being an obstacle in the way of like playing this game.
Let's just piggyback off what I just said there. You see, I still do judge others, and I'm human, just like you. But the reason I'm more compassionate is because I now understand that there are 4 different colors. There are 4 different types of human beings in this life, and they speak different languages. And by me understanding that now more and more, I'm able to be more empathetic, I'm able to be more understanding, and I'm able to judge people less.
All important, bring it back to why it makes sense on my channel. All important for TTRPGs. I do think there's more than 4 ways of communicating, though. I do think there's more than 4 colors. There has to be.
And you know what's even cooler? I speak all 4 languages now. I can speak red, yellow, green, blue. So that means that when I meet you, regardless of what color you are, I'm going to be able to connect with you more instead of judging you. So now, the final step, how to talk to each color.
I wonder what color most people are. It can't be a 25% split. There must be like a color that most people are, and a color that like very few people are. Especially if we are putting this on like through a D&D lens, I'm sure most DMs out there are a certain color, and I think it might be red and yellow, right? The 2 colors that I think I might be. Food for thought.
Think of this as your secret communication hack. Now, when it comes to the reds, make sure you are direct, you're decisive, you're confident, and make sure you use frameworks while you're communicating. They love the frameworks because it'll help you become more clear, concise, and coherent. They respect speed.
I think this is the best way to figure out exactly what color I am. It's like, how do I want to be talked to? And I do like direct, decisive, confident people. That's a lie. Confidence is such a weird descriptor because it can mean multiple things. Like, you might meet someone who is cocky, for example. I don't like people who are cocky. I really don't like people who are arrogant, right? And I think a lot of people think confidence is that level of like, I can do anything, watch me. It might be true that I might be able to do everything, but there are people out there who come across as confident because they're modest, if that makes sense, and that's what I like.
Clarity and results. So skip the fluff and focus on the outcome.
I don't say now. It really is throwing me through a loop.
Let me walk you through all the background details before we decide.
Now he's just attacking individual people,
what to do next. I want to show you all 147 slides. Instead, say, listen, the report's finished. I've gone through all the data and summarized for you the top 3 points. And here's what I recommend the next steps be. Let me know if you have any questions.
So this is what I mean. I think I would, if I was in a meeting at work, I would want this, right? But if I'm at home hanging out with a friend, I wouldn't want this.
Why is this important? It's important because a lot of leaders in senior positions are really time poor and they love direct communication.
Time poor.
And in the example that I just shared with you, I'm using a communication framework. So if you want to learn more about communication frameworks and how to speak in a concise, clear, and coherent manner, I've recorded a free 2-hour training for you where we dive deeper into more frameworks so you can come across more clear and confident. Just click the link in the description to save your spot. Now, when you're talking to a yellow, be enthusiastic, be positive, be engaging. Don't say, let me give you a 5-hour.
So I like that. I think I don't know if I think I'm a yellow or if I just really want to be a yellow. I certainly feel like I would rather interact with yellows, which if this is all true, that would mean that I was a yellow.
Our tutorial exactly on how to use this particular camera and then give you a 40-page PDF on how to get the most out of this camera. Instead of that, say, hey, just hit the record button, go have some fun. Go work it out as you go. You're going to love it. Why do this? Well, because they thrive on energy, ideas, and stories. Keep it light, keep it fun, keep it creative. Let them roam free. Leave the details to the blues. Now, when you're talking to a green, be calm, be patient, and supportive. Don't say, we need.
I feel like greens are getting absolutely screwed over in this analysis. They're like, you gotta be patient with them. You gotta be supportive with, like, greens are babies.
To make this change right now. Say instead, hey, listen, I know this is a shift, but we'll move at a pace that.
Like, I feel like all the others have like some kind of strength. There's some benefit, but when it gets to green, it's just, I feel, poor green.
Feels comfortable for you, and I'm gonna support you all the way through it. Do you notice the difference when speaking to greens? They value harmony and reliability. So slow down, listen, and avoid pushing too hard, too fast. Now, when you're talking to a blue, be precise, structured, and factual. Don't say, don't worry about the details, just trust me. Instead say, here's all the data, and here's the step-by-step plan that I've created from the data, and I want to give it to you so you can do a quick double check if you want. Do you notice the subtle change there for the blue? They care about accuracy and process. So come prepared, respect the details, and avoid exaggeration. Oh, they hate that. As you learn how to do this, you'll be able to connect with 95% of the people that you meet. And remember, this doesn't mean you're changing who you are. It means you're just learning how to adapt your communication style to their communication.
Yeah, he's obviously hit criticism in the past talking about this stuff. It's like, I don't want to change myself to fit in with society. And that's kind of the issue I have with this kind of information. But yeah, being understanding of other people when communicating with them and realizing that like your way is not the only way, I think is really useful, especially in TTRPGs.
Masterful communicators meet people where they are and make the connection effortless. We often hear the phrase, be yourself. And yes, look, that is true to a certain extent. But if you want to truly connect with others,
I don't think be yourself is good advice. I think be the best version of yourself is the good advice, right? Like there are elements of you that I think, oh God, I might get cancelled here, but I think some people need to tone down certain elements of themselves or like grow and adapt over time. But like you need to be kind of working on yourself all the way through life, I think. I don't think you can just be yourself. I think you want to strive to be the best version of yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You also have to learn to be dynamic. Like water, you adapt to the shape of the vessel that you're poured into.
This is very good D&D advice.
Be formless, shapeless, like water.
See, even Bruce Lee says so. So thanks for that, Uncle. I appreciate that. At the end of the day, we are
The Asian jokes are crazy.
all the colors. There's a version of you that's fun and playful, yellow. There's a version of you that seeks connection and depth and detail, blue. There's a version of you that's conflict avoidant and always seeks peace, green. And then there's a version of you that just gets shit done, red.
Yeah, we're all a little bit of everything.
We are all of them. We just tend to default towards one. It doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't speak the other colors. It means you should learn them all. This is what I teach in my programs. The ability to be multilingual without losing your identity. To walk into any room and meet people where they are while still bringing communication is the tide that lifts.
All right. I want to go back to the list of them real quick. Because it is genuinely interesting. And I think if I was looking at, like, if I just had to throw famous like DMs into these results, I would say like
And type.
Brennan Lee Mulligan is definitely, I think, driven by fun and connection and a little bit of logic and structure. I think Brennan has those things for sure. I actually think Matt Mercer is more logic and structure, I would say. You know, being a bit of everything else as well. I would say, you know, someone like, let's say, Mark Humes is like very peace and stability. And then I would say Abria Iyengar maybe is power and results, just from the way they kind of handle their tables. But I think in general, just by being a DM for a long time, you're going to slowly get more red. It's just going to happen. You're going to get more red and you're going to get more yellow. I think those two things are really pulled out by being a GM, because you have all the power and the players are looking at you to give them results fast. But also you need to stay connected to having fun and your players having fun and everyone kind of connecting, right? There will definitely be DMs out there who are blue as well with logic and structure. Those are the people who I think naturally go towards DMing just because it helps like lay a foundation there. As for players, surely most D&D players are going to be more on the yellow side, with a couple of greens. I think you probably find more greens on the player side than the DM side. And you've got your rules lawyers, right? They're blue. But yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. I'd love to know what you guys think. What color are you when you're in the DM or GM seat, or what color are you when you're in the player seat? And this video is very much kind of an experiment. I want to stream more and I want to react to videos more, but until I build up more of a following over on Twitch, I might just, you know, try these kind of reaction videos out a little bit and see if you guys find them useful or interesting. I'm probably going to look into this a little bit more, or other ways of communicating to try and turn it into like a full length video, but I'd have to do a lot more research for that, I think. But yeah, cool concept. Like and subscribe. Goodbye now.